What's up, everyone? Happy Saturday. Huei-Yuan coming to you from Cupertino, California. Today is March 28th, 2020. Hope you guys are doing well. Sound's coming through okay. This is the end of week 2 of our live streaming sessions that we've been doing, and I'm realizing like how much stuff it takes to get one of these streams up and running. So those of you who have been sending the messages after the fact, just want to let you know that I really appreciate you guys sending those notes. Honestly, it was weird. Like everyone, I'm sure, is feeling as we have like our ups and downs. And yesterday after my stream, I was like, man, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for tomorrow's stream. My plan for today's stream was to play through all the exercises at the end of Timing is Everything, at the end of the free download that's available this week. You can find that here. Let me see if this is coming up. And I finished the stream. I was like, you know, like, are people digging this? Do they want to see this? Do they not want to see it? And you know, yesterday I just got a couple really like super nice messages, instructors who had said that that this was helping them because they were using this time to rethink their warm-up packets. I had one gentleman, Bruce, who wrote me from Scotland and said that he was watching the streams. And like my older brother reached out and said like, hey, I'm watching your streams. And so I'm realizing I need to remember this, that you create all this content, but a lot of times people won't see this for a week or 2 weeks or a month or, you know, 2 years after the fact. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to be doing these streams with you guys. Wanted to say thank you guys for those notes. Thank you for everyone who's liking, following, subscribing, sharing the content out, tagging me in your posts as you're using them. So that's really, really inspiring. And I thought we would do something fun today also, which was like another pick-me-up going into today's lesson. My buddy Mike Thomas wrote in, and he had a lick that he wrote, and he tagged a bunch of us, and it just reminded me of the power of like getting tagged and social media, how that helps us stay connected as we're going through all this. So I figured, as I was learning his lick yesterday, I was like, oh, this actually applies to the timing lesson that we've been doing. So today we're going to play through all the exercises in the back of this free handout. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you'll see this over here. It's a free download. If you go to huei-yuan.com/free lessons for the Instagram folks, that's linked in my Instagram profile. You can download that and follow along as we play through these exercises. Of course, you want to grab your sticks and your pads. We're going to be playing quite a bit. And then we're going to apply what we're talking about today to an actual lick. And, you know, it won't be like an in-depth breakdown of the lick, but it will be a demonstration of how these timing patterns will be the foundation for once you get into the wild and you're learning music. And you don't want to be seeing something for the first time going like, oh, what does it feel like when you're playing an accent on the second partial of a triplet? Or, you know, how do I play this? And a lot of times when you have this foundation set, when you have the more complicated things, you're just plugging things into this framework that you already have laid out. So you've got to do this legwork in advance so that you're not blindsided when it comes time to perform. Like your friend tags you in the lick and you're like, ugh. Okay? So with that being said, let's say hi to everyone. What's up, Jarari? Christian, buenas tardes. Good to see you. Dre, my good friend. Hey guys, welcome to the room. Thank you for coming in. And let's say hi to our Instagram friends as well. Cole, welcome. Isaac, hey. What's up? Hey guys, Ian, welcome. All right. Well, let's get to it, guys. So we're over here. I've almost got all these hotkeys remembered. Oh, this is me editing the video from earlier. Putting together Mike's lick, which I will show you guys here in a little bit. But let's take a look at this. I'm going to close this out. But we're going to look down here. And again, this is a free download that's available right now. If you go, it's available for free this week. It's huei-yuan.com/free lessons. Quick recap of this week, just to kind of get everybody on the same page. We talked about playing on the beat, ahead of the beat, and behind the beat. Your ability to control and manipulate the pulse. Yeah. Your ability to control and manipulate the pulse is one of the most essential core skills of being a musician. And then here, this is where you can see that we've talked about playing on, behind, or ahead. Here we go. So if you imagine that the beat is a ball, each one of these clicks, beat, is the ball, right? So you can play right in the square of the center of that ball. Square of the center. Right in the center of the ball. You can play a little bit ahead of the ball. You can play a little bit behind the ball. And you're still in time, but there's just all these places where you can decide to where you want to put the beat. Patricia Islas from Team Islas reached out, and she said she saw the title, the book timings, everything. She's like, so true, and it affects accuracy, it affects your feel, it affects style. So it's very, very important that you're able to control where you're placing the beat. And then we talked about how you're able to control the time instead of letting the time control you. A lot of times, because it's too fast, because if it's too slow, it makes you rush or drag. In a sense, you want to be the master of your time as you're working through this. Okay, and then gave some examples of how you can work through. We talked about building composite rhythms, understanding how rhythms fit together. I think in today's video, and eventually what I'll do is I'll make one big playlist that has all the other videos linked. So if you're catching this video after the fact, maybe check the description below and you can see part 1, 2, 3, and 4. And today's kind of our application day where we're using all the days and putting them together in one session. Okay, so these are some of the exercises that we've played through already, but we're just going to start from the top and play through. You can see we've got quite a few pages here. So we'll play through them, and we won't get a bunch of reps on them because I want to spend maybe 20 minutes on this. At least you'll get a demo of each one. And if we don't get a chance to play everything off the left hand as well, just make sure that when you're going back and doing this, you can rewind it and watch it again, play it off the right, and play it off the left. Okay? And then last, I just want to mention that if you do have any questions today, there's going to be an open Q&A section at the very end. So if you'd like to ask a question towards the end, feel free to have those questions ready to go. Okay? All right, so without further ado, how did I do this last time? I think I expanded this, and I think I went to the view, and I said show single page, and I zoomed in. This is working pretty well, especially on like after the fact on replays. The goal is to make this as legible as possible, right? And I noticed that sometimes some people have mentioned that, yeah, it does help them when I highlight what it is that we're looking at. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do one more thing, which is we're just going to play the exercise portions. So what you'll see is you'll see the drill section. I'm looking up over here. I'm looking at too many places at the same time. Okay, so you see the drill section. The drill section is how you would practice each one of these things. But let's say, so for example, in this first line, let me get these things out of the way. In this first line, this is what I would use to teach a student how to play this first timing pattern, which looks like this. Okay, and we would just do that, and then once they've got that down, say, okay, great, now try this next one. And I've talked about in previous streams how more commonly you'll see this exercise as being 1, 2, E, 1, 2, 3, E, And because I typically introduce this to my beginners, or if I'm seeing someone for the first time in high school or even in college, I'll have them play it with the downbeat initially. So it'll be 1 E into 2 E into 3 E, 1. And I find that if they know that the E's and the U's are anchored by that beat 3, if I introduce it that way first and then I take out the 3 later, it's very seamless. Like very few people, there's less friction to get them to be able to do it correctly, as opposed to if I go 1 E and a 2 E and a, hey, yeah, just flow the hand, E, E, I find that a lot of people end up kind of guessing where the beat is, and it just gets a little wonky. So I write it out this way at first. And now we're going to get to the playing portion, which is today we're just going to play through the exercise portion of each one of these just to help move things along a little bit here. Okay? So let's see. Oh, Pearl Adams marching percussion. Welcome. Thanks for coming in the room, guys. Hugh G. Cole. All right, Broggs. Okay. Let me just scroll to the bottom so I see as comments and people come in. I guess. Hey, Derek. Welcome to the room. Okay, so we're going to do the exercise portion. We're looking at exercise number 1. This is like a stock. Every student that takes private lessons with me, we do this at the beginning of the snare drum lesson to make sure that this is all good to go. After we do this, right? Whatever 8, 8, 16, 16 on hand, 8 on hand, whatever legato exercises you would do, we move into timing. That's the second exercise that I have every student play. And so let's put this, how about let's start at 100, and then we'll move through a couple tempos. How about that? Okay? So grab your sticks if you haven't yet, and let's just drum together a little bit, okay? Here we go. And 1, 2, ready, play. Again. Flowing the left hand, flowing the right hand, flowing the left hand. Try it off the left hand now. Left hand lead. Flow that left hand. Flow the right hand. Okay, let's try a little brighter. Let's jump up to 120. If you're practicing at home, you might jump up in 4-beat or 8-beat increments. We're just going to jump to 120 and get this, see what this feels like. And 1, 2, ready, play. Still flowing. Off the left. Right. And today there was a very interesting discussion in the I Teach Percussion Facebook group. We were talking about someone was revamping their warm-up book. And one of the teachers, Neil, mentioned in passing something that I think is very important to highlight for maybe younger teachers or teachers who, there's just a lot of things going on when you're teaching, which is when you're structuring how to do these warm-ups, you want to keep in mind what the end goal is. So for example, if you're in this upcoming practice session, you're going to be practicing your all-state music, and the all-state music is at 126, then maybe you're building and stair-stepping your warm-ups to get to eventually 126, and then of course you might do 130, 136, some other tempos around it, but you want to make sure you hit those show or music tempos that you're going to be practicing in that session. In the same spirit, if you're running a drumline rehearsal and you've got your show music that's coming up, you're going to be doing the opener that day, and the opener is at 144, then you want to make sure that you're stair-stepping and you're hitting 144. I would also hit slightly past 144 so that 144 feels easy when you back down to 144. Okay? So just keep in mind where you're going with these exercises in the long game. Okay? All right, so that's the first exercise. Let's scroll down a little bit. I'm going to come here. And that's looking okay on the screen. Okay, so wait, did I jump a page? My bad. Let me try that again. So this is what happens when it's sitting at the bottom of the page. How did I fix this last time? Did I zoomed in more? I haven't quite figured out how to get around it when the music is sitting at the bottom of the page. Yeah, like you can barely see that. That's close enough. Okay, so we're looking at exercise number 2 here. I'll just highlight this portion. Okay, all right, here we go. So for the Instagram folks, the first pattern is 1 E and, the second pattern is 1 and a, third pattern is 1 E fourth pattern is E and a. For the first 2 bars, you're flowing the right hand all the way through. For the third and fourth bar, you're flowing the left hand all the way through. Okay, all right, let's keep it at the same tempo, 120. 1, 2, ready. Right hand flow. Left hand flow. Again. Okay, and you would do that off the left hand as well. If you have questions, guys, just kind of rapid fire through them for me as we're coming through here. I'll try to keep an eye on both at the same time. Elliot says, are you playing one excessive time on timing when hitting with your left hand? Aren't you playing one excessive time on timing when hitting with your left hand? I'm not sure I'm following. Aren't you playing, am I playing excessive time, one excessive time on timing when hitting with your left hand? Am I adding like a left hand note? I don't think so. I may be. You know, I'm not perfect, Elliot, but maybe point out to me which measure you think I'm playing an extra hand, but I think it's okay. Benjamin T. Finley, Dr. Finley, thanks for coming in the room. Thanks for coming in. Been watching your baking escapades this week as you guys have been at home, so hope you're doing well. We need to catch up by phone sooner than later. I'm going to get some time on our hands here, so let's talk soon, okay? Sorry, my English is really bad when I speak about music. Elliot, no sweat. Don't worry at all. Thank you for joining the stream, and feel free to ask us many questions, and I'll do my best to understand what's happening. So please don't apologize for the English. You know, music is the universal language, so we'll work through it together, okay? All right, let's go to the third exercise. Let's keep going. And then Elliot, just throw your question, and when you can tell me which exercise, maybe which measure, which beat you think I'm throwing an extra hand in there. Okay? All right, for exercise number 3, and I'm moving through these a little bit more quickly because we did cover them in parts 1 and 2 this week, I think. So you can go back and catch those if you want to work those a little bit more. I'm only saying it because my teacher taught us a different way. Yes, Elliot. Okay, great point, Elliot. So Elliot said, I'm saying because my teacher taught us a different way. So again, there are many variations on this exercise, and I'm not saying like this is the correct exercise. This is just the way that I introduce it to my students. I'll give you an example, which I mentioned a little bit before. I used to teach it directly to 1 and a 2 and a 3. And I didn't have beat 3 as a downbeat. And then as a teacher, I just noticed, especially with my beginners, this was always a hurdle for them. I was always running into the same issue with all my students. And I kind of stumbled upon the fact that I just said, hey, you've got to feel beat 3, you know, like just play beat 3. You know the 3E rhythm that we've been working? You know how to play that, right? Yeah, it's just like that. And then I figured out, you know, eventually that if I just taught it that way to start, and then I had them take out beat 3 at a later time, it was super easy for them. So that's the way it's a sequence thing. What order do you introduce these things to your students? Okay, Trevor, welcome. Hi, Ben. Albert, Dr. Wen, welcome to the room. Good to see you. Holly says, you're great. Thanks, Holly. I appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words. I really, thanks for those nice words. Yep, that's what I'm playing. Yeah, Elliot. So Elliot, we're on the same page now. So Elliot, no sweat. It's not right or wrong. It's just different. And you know, the more different ways you can have of learning, thinking, and talking about music, the more well-versed you'll be at a later date. Okay, what you said your students don't understand. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, every student's a little bit different, so that's the way it goes. All right, so exercise number 3, now we're talking about 2-note, 16-note timing patterns. First timing pattern is 1E. The second one is 1, a 2, or 1, a. Third one is rest and a. And then the fourth one is rusty and. I went back and forth about this a bunch when I was writing the book, and ultimately what I decided on was the first 2 have downbeats as the anchor points, and then the third one is the rest and a, which is a little bit more common. More students will see that. And then the kind of the last hurdle that most people have is the resty and. So I stuck that one at the end. Again, you can move these and put them in any order that you'd like. That would work. Let's slow this one down just a little bit. You're internalizing and subdividing the tempo before you start. One thing I don't think I've said at all this week is before you start playing, you should be hearing da 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 da. You know, I know that the conductors in the room before they start, they think 1, 2, da 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 da, right? And they're feeling and subdividing that tempo before they start playing. You know, there's different levels of this. I've had some players who they take out their 6 and then they start playing, and that's when they start to feel the beat. And of course, it gets a little bit wonky, right? And so for those students, teaching tip here, I will actually have students count themselves off, right? I can count them off all day. There's like a, what is it? It's like a Colby Calais song, which is like at the front is like bubbly toe. Or, no, what's? I'm trying to play the song in my head. I forget the title of the song. I think it's like Bubbly Toes, I think. And at the beginning of the song, she's like, "Can you count me in?" And I remember when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's like an actually really common issue for a lot of students. Like when the teacher counts you in, they're fine, but ultimately as a musician, you need to go 1, 2, ready, play. Right? So if you're not feeling the beat before you start, then maybe you're at level 2. You can count yourself in. Level 3, you are subdividing whatever subdivision you're going to be playing before you start. So I'm not thinking just 1, 2, 3. I'm thinking 1E into 2E into 3E into 4E into. And I'm hearing those da-da-da-da-da-da-das as they're coming through the room, okay? So subdivide before you start each one of these exercises that we're trying. Gridbook Nation, welcome to the room. Mark, good to see you, bud. Long time no see. We need to catch up by phone as well. I know we've been exchanging a couple of Instagram messages here and there, but I'm sure there's a lot going on. Kevin, help me. Kevin says, I'm from Guatemala. Kevin, I'll do my best, man. If you have questions, just throw them in the comments and we'll try to get those answered in as we go, okay? All right, here we go. Exercise number 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Try moving your feet. Ready, go. Left foot. Tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it. Right? And you can hear the composite rhythm here, so you're hearing tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, doom, tick it, doom, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, ding, good ding, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, doom, tick it, doom, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, gukata, gong. Even though you're playing these 2-note partials, you're hearing the composite rhythm of how your feet are feeling in these rhythms. You can also audiate, which is a fancy term for hearing in your head, a different rhythm that is complementary. Lots of strategies of how you can be feeling the time as you're doing this, and just you're never gonna hear someone say like, oh, I don't need to work on my timing anymore. You can always make it stronger, more in the pocket, more centered, and it's a maintenance thing for even the advanced players as we're doing this. Okay, let's try it off the left. 1, 2, ready and go and. And using that flow in that last measure, that first Ian is just a flow continuation of that 2-count check leading into it. Okay, so make sure that you're using the mechanics to your advantage when you can. Okay, all right, let's keep going. I see a question coming through, so I'm going to answer that. While I get this set up and give everyone a chance to look at these. These are 1-note 16th-note timing patterns. Again, you can use the drill section up top to focus and zoom in on just the E or just the whichever one is giving you the most difficulty. And then the exercise is where you check yourself. If you can play all the way through without breaking, then you're probably more confident or comfortable with each one of those individual patterns. But if you find yourself breaking on pattern 4, then you need to go back and practice just pattern 4 a whole bunch until it's comfortable so that it is not an issue when it gets to it in the exercise portion. Okay. Kevin says, I want to improve my technique. How can I do it? And my music theory. Yeah, Kevin, so the good news is you're hungry to learn and you want to get better at technique so you can play better and you want to understand what you're playing with music theory. So the thing is now you're going to have to break those into smaller steps. That's like your main idea, right? So technique, you're going to have to go back to the basics. That's the thing that I want to stress the most to most players. They try to run before they can walk. So just make sure that you can do this really well a little bit every day. Make sure your stick is going straight up and down so you're not slicing like this. Make sure you know where your fingers and your hands are going. Kevin, there's a playlist on my YouTube channel called Percussion 101, and I walk through like the very basic setup things that I introduce with my beginners. Check out that free resource. And for music theory, there's a great website, musictheory.net, and there's a bunch of free music theory lessons on there as well, so I would recommend checking that out. Okay? And then try to find a teacher and other musicians in your area, like other students also, and just start talking to them. And then I would say try to pick a particular topic that you want to get better at. So when you say I want to get better technique, be more specific. I want better snare drum technique when I play buzz rolls, or for music theory, I want to get better Western harmony, major and minor tonalities. I want to understand how all those chords and chord inversions work. So pick a very particular topic, and then I would say get a book. A book will help you sequence your way through it so that you're not kind of just jumping all over the place. A good book will take you through chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to help you build through that. Okay? All right. Timing exercise number 4. The 16th note subdivision is still on. 1, 2, 3 into 4. And dum, 2, 3 into 4. Mark time. 3 da ba ba. Dum 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 ba dum ba dum. So you can hear me singing a composite rhythm that I'm playing as I'm doing this. When you see these single note timing patterns, you'll see the tendency of wanting to like kind of spaz, like you're like 1E, right? And just remember that E, that should flow from the check. And then the next one should be just as relaxed in the prep. So you're not kind of whipping that prep. 1E into 2E into 3E, and you can float that prep, or you can downstroke it. When you float it, there's a little bit more space, so you have to be careful about that. Both are good depending on the context and the style of what you're playing. Okay? Practice that off the left. Let's keep going. We're looking now at drill 5. We've moved into the triplet timing partials. This is what we did yesterday in our lessons. So this is like exercise number 1, but the triplet version of it. So we have triplet, right, left. So Elliot, this would be a good question for you. A lot of people spend a bunch of time practicing their 16th note timing patterns and less time practicing their triplet timing patterns. But you see triplet rolls and triplet accent pattern figures all the time in our music. And so that's going to be the foundation. And in the example that we're going to look at today, if you have these locked down, it's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes time to play them in context. Okay, so let's try this pattern a few times. We'll crank this up to 120 on the Met. Turn the 16th notes off and the triplets on. 1, 2, triplet, go. Again. Off the left. Right, so we're so used to hearing our right hand as being the dominant hand. When you play off the left, if it doesn't sound the way you're expecting it to sound, i.e. your right hand being the stronger hand, then you can go, oh man, that sounds weird that all of a sudden it sounds like, right? And you're like, oh, I gotta raise my left hand. So playing off your left is a great way to just make your left hand feel, look, and sound stronger so that when you go back to your right hand, everything's just a little bit more evenly balanced. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Exercise number 6. Okay, so these are 3-note groupings. So in these 3-note groupings, the first pattern is just beats 3 and 4. So this first one is triplet, 3 triplet, 4 trip. Da da dum boop bop, dee da dum bum, dee da dum bum, dee da dum bum. Right hand natural sticking. Right. The second pattern is just beats 3 and 4 of the next bar. So we've got 2 counts of check just like before. Second pattern is bum da da dum. 3 triplet, 4 trip. 3 triplet, 4 trip. I'm switching over my own triplet counting system to 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, so it's still a little goofy for me when I'm counting. But it's a good reminder for how difficult it is for my students to count when I'm like, yeah, it's just 1 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, lolly, dolly, or triplet, triplet, triplet. But it's in this case, it's 3 triplet, 4 trip, 3 triplet, 4 trip, bum, bum, bum. Sometimes it's easier just to sing it. Quick teaching tip also, don't get bent out of shape if your students are having trouble saying the correct syllables. You can just have them say dum da doo dum, dum da doo dum. And if I put a melody to it, a lot of times that helps students kind of get their ear into what we're doing. Bum ba doo dum, if you sing that. Dum da doo dum, dum ba da dum. I've even had students who are rhythmically struggling, and you take them over to the marimba, and you assign notes like A, F, A. If you assign notes, it all of a sudden it's like, oh, that sounds so much easier. Their ears pick up on it a little bit more so than just dak, 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 dak on a snare drum or a wood block. Okay, and then the third pattern is rest, dot, dot, rest, dot, 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 dot. Ready, and rest, dot, dot, dun, dun. Dot, dot, dun, dun. Dot, dot, dun, dun. Fourth pattern, rest done, rest done. Like this. Bop, 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 bop. Bop, 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 bop. And I think what I did here, what did I do? Oh, same thing. First two bars, right hand is flowing all the way through, and then the third and fourth bar, the left hand is flowing all the way through. Okay, all right, so let's try this. This is 120 straight through. John says, watching from the UK, where can I get the sheet music? Sorry, I should have said hi. No worries, John. Huei-Yuan.com/free lessons. I think it's linked in the comments at the top. I don't know if you can see those live comments scrolling up, but if you go to, it should be in the comments. If you go to my Instagram profile, it's also there, but you have to know how to spell my name. HUEIYUANPAN.com/free lessons. And this download will be available, John. Okay. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. With the repeat. Give you another go at it. Here we go. 1, 2. Okay, so go back and watch that again. Sorry, 1 second. Let me turn this back on. So go back and just watch that again. Make sure you practice that off the right and off the left, and then make sure you're looking and feeling that right hand flow for the first two bars and that left hand flow for the second two bars. Okay, you're welcome, John. Let's keep going. And just throw the questions out, guys, along the way as we're going, so that we can get these answers. Okay, now this one is definitely at the bottom of the page. So my computer's gonna make me scroll. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move myself up here for just a moment and come back down here and highlight it here. Okay, just remember at any point, if you find yourself breaking in one of these patterns, that means you need to go back into the drill section and just fix that pattern, rep that a bunch, and then come back out. Or just slow down. You know, I'm going 120 right now, but if you need to back this down to 80, that's totally fine. Pick a tempo that'll allow you to perform the correct repetitions and build the correct habits. Okay? All right, here we go. 2 note time patterns. If you're familiar with shups as an exercise, and so forth, it's the same pattern as shups, okay? But you're alternating because it's natural sticking. So we have right, left, left, right. This is one of the benefits of doing your triplet time patterns. You're doing it off both sides because of the odd note groupings. Second pattern is right, right, left, left, right. This is so for your middle school students. And then the third one is a little bit tricky, but again, this is where we use the mechanics to our advantage. We have 1 triplet, 2 triplet, flow. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, flow. And your right hand's flowing through those last 2 beats, right? Triplet, triplet, flowing. Right hand flows through those last 2 beats to go back into that repeat, right? Okay, here we go. In practice, good luck. We'll do it twice. 1, 2, here we go. Repeat. Two, 1, 2, 1. Hold up. Pull this back down. And 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Off the left, 2, ready, go. Okay. Work these out. If you're struggling with any of these, or maybe it's like the first time you're seeing them, great. That's good news because now you have something that you can work on as you're practicing on your own, right? And get the free download, you guys, this week. It's available. It's there for you to use. So use that. Where am I going here? Let's go here. And if this is easy for you, then great. You can use this to, do some self-maintenance on yourself. If you haven't checked your own timing in a while, this is a good way to do so. Okay? Hey, real quick, let us know where you're watching from, guys. I know John mentioned he's watching from the UK. Elliot, I don't think I caught where you're watching from, but we have a nice little crowd in the room today. So just throw in your city and your country. One of the things that I always forget is just how international these streams are, and we're definitely in an international situation right now. So just say hi, and then maybe you'll make some new friends in the chat as we're watching. Okay, Matthew Dawson, how many exercises do you think are appropriate for a young drumline to play together on a regular basis? There are a lot of good exercises to play, but can easily be very time consuming. Yep, totally get it, Matt. So this was actually happening in the I Teach Percussion discussion room this morning. And what I think is you need to have a core set of exercises. These are the ones that you're going to hit every day as a drumline in your warm-up sequence. Like you have your core 6, 7, maybe 8 exercises that are always there. And I think instead of having like 15 or 20 exercises, what you can do is you can do variations on a single exercise. So for example, when you play, let's say 8-8-16 is your legato warm-up, right? So the first day of drumline camp, maybe that's what you're introducing. Hey, this is how the sticking goes. Make sure you're flowing, watch your transitions. Left hand needs to be just as strong as the right hand. Make sure that we get the last note together. Don't slam the last note. I mean, there's so many things that you're just talking about with that one exercise. And then you need to introduce, hey, we have to play them at all dynamic levels. So piano, mezzo forte, you've got to firm up a little bit, get that sound quality. And then once you get that, you're doing decrescendo and you're doing crescendo so that you're moving evenly. Right? So there are so many musical lessons that you can teach just within that exercise. And then, of course, you've got adding on. So you're going, or let's say, I guess. One year I did a thing where I inputted all of my timing patterns into 8 in a hand. So, for example, if it's, I did it in a 16 in a hand pattern. And what we did was we put it on beats 3 through 7. So let's say the timing pattern is 1-and. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. If the timing pattern is 1-enda, 1-e, and so forth. And so we turned 8 on a hand into a timing pattern. If you were doing 8-8-16 like we were doing before and you stuck them in the middle, the reason you stick them in the middle is so that you have a count or 2 off this hand to get over to the other hand. So I might do for like 1-yen as an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so using variations, and we haven't even talked about inserting double stops. I mean, there's just so many variations you can do on just that one exercise. So for me, I have a video about this actually. It's called, Is Your Drumline Missing These Skill Sets? And I think I was trying to pare it down to 5. And the 5 that I said were 8 on a hand, some sort of legato exercise, accent tap, double beat, rolls, and flams, like some sort of flam breakdown. The one exercise, if I were to give myself one more exercise, because I'm trying to cap it so that we're not expanding too far, I think stick control is super, super important. You got to get that in there if you don't have a stick control exercise. It's amazing how clear it makes everyone's stick flow or lack of stick flow, right? If everyone's going, or if you do a duple one, you could and really you're practicing doubles, right? You're going, so I've done years where I would play with the sequence too. I'll go like 8 on a hand, stick control, when I was in high school, it was always 8 on hand straight into bucks. And admittedly, we had like very slammy sounding bucks when I was in high school. It took me a long time to break that habit. So when I was teaching, I would do 8 on hand to some sort of stick control and then to accent tap. And now I do 8 on a hand into some sort of timing exercise, and then maybe stick control, and then into accent tap, and then some sort of double exercise. Although you kind of hit doubles with stick control, right? So you're kind of paring it down to what you think. I think you can get away with 6 exercises. And then the comment that I added, and this is the last thing I'll say about this topic, the comment that I added in today's discussion was when I make packets for students, I say, hey, here's like your core set. Here's the core routine that you need to be playing daily on your own, that you have to be able to play. But I also include a bonus section. So here are all these other exercises that you could learn and that you could play, but understand that it doesn't matter if you can play those if you haven't mastered these beginning ones. But I also want runway for students who are more advanced or super hungry. You know, I was that kid in high school who was like looking and playing everything that I could get my hands on. And so I wouldn't want to limit that kid to just 6 exercises, right? So I've got the core center that everyone needs to be paying attention and continuing to work on, but I also have some additional sandbox for the kids to play on who are looking for that additional information. And maybe we'll touch on it, or you could say like, you know, this flam breakdown that we're doing, and that's just like the shopping spree, that BD93 shopping spree that we stuck at the back of our packet. So if you want to be able to play that, you need to go back to students should always have a clear vision of where they're going in the long term, and it'll make what they're doing here in the short term more relevant to why we're learning it. Okay? Aroba coming in from SoCal. Okay, Orlando, Florida. Girari, awesome. Okay, I don't know where we are anymore, so I'm going to start with these single note triplet timing patterns. Let's back it down to 100 so we can really hear and audiate those triplets and check ourselves, and we'll do 3 tempos for this, okay? 1, 2, we're looking down here on exercise 8. 1, 2, triplet, go. With the repeat this time. Two. Again. Repeat. Left hand lead. 1. Ding bum bum. Bum bum. Ding ba ding ba dum. Then left lead. Repeat. Okay, let's try a little faster. 120. 1, 2, triplet, go. So I actually hear myself coming out of the patterns a little weird, and the first 2 counts of my check are not always bang in the center. So I'm going to try to focus on that this time. The check is the most important part. If as a line your check is not clean, then you have a severely less likelihood of getting the pattern together, okay? So let's work on that check this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, one more. Actually, let's do 2 more, 140 and 160, because 160 is really common for like Rammy triplet stuff. So here we go. I'm gonna take this triplet subdivision off. As the tempos get faster, you want to start thinking more macro. So you're not thinking da, 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 the whole time. You're thinking beep, 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 or even halftime. You might be thinking dump, 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 dump. Let's try this macro time. One, and let's put the beep on 2 and 4. So it's 4 and 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, a little faster, 160. And let's just put it on beat 1 each time now. Right? So now you're thinking so if you have any weird mechanic stuff that's happening as you get faster, there's no time for you to recover. It's either going to be right or wrong. So stair step your way. You know, we did 20 beat jumps were kind of big for time's sake, but just make sure you're doing each of the 8 beat or 4 beat increments in between. Okay, no questions? You're welcome, Matt. Community Network says, have you been inactive for 20 years? Feels that way. I've been inactive for a while. But I'm working on it, and we're doing a lot of live streaming this past week. So, welcome back to the land of drumming lessons. Okay, here's a bunch of drills. This is very important if you're playing. Like you'll see this more often if you're doing all-state music, some concert snare drum literature. And I wrote these out because a lot of students that I have were struggling with rhythms like da da dum bum da da dum bum da da dum bum da da dum dum or yum da da dum bum. If you played those Cerrone portraits and rhythm studies, you'll see these figures quite a bit. Right? And then so you've got the 1-note groupings and then the 2-note. Or the third one, which is okay, so run those drills. And then the next most common one that I see that people were struggling with were these single stroke 4s, downbeat single stroke 4s, da ba da dum, boom, beam, ba ba da dum, bum, and then dum, da 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 dum, bum, bum, bigga da bum, bum, and then bum, bum, bigga da bum, bum. Again, these are more concert snare drum is what I usually use these with my students. But you know, you see a lot of the top groups playing that 9-lit vocabulary, so you should probably have these in your hands as well. Second one, third one. The reason I make those off the left there is because I'm trying to get back onto the dominant hand in this check format, timing purposes. Okay, let's put it in context. Oh, there's 2-note groupings of these, and then you fill it out all the way. So it's and this one's a little bit interesting. This is worth looking at for just a moment. Let me come up here. Sorry, give me one sec. Come boo, moo. Come back down here. Zoom that in. This one. I don't know if this is the best way to. This is just when I was, you know, the biggest recommendation I could make is just to customize exercises for what you're working on. So there was something that I was teaching somebody once, and they were struggling with this, and so I made this exercise up for them. And look at the music that you're playing, and you're going to be able to use a lot of these timing patterns as the structure, the framework for you to insert these parts. Okay, so this one goes a little something like this. Let's see. We'll back it back down. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, so the reason this was, a lot of students were getting lost playing 2 beats of 9s. So gives you that left hand anchor point, and then gives you that right hand anchor point, and then you put it back together. And now that I'm looking at this, I think I would actually switch the lines. So I actually might play it like this. Okay, so again, this is, your exercises will change depending on what season of life and playing you're in. So, my best recommendation would be just to customize your exercises to what you're working on. Okay, so you can play through each of these variations. Let's just do it. We'll blast through these real quick. Bum 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 bum. 12/8. Jump bum 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 bum. 88. Dotted coordinate equals 88. Jump bum 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 bum. Diggity gum bum diggity gum bum. 1, 2. Next line, 10B, go. Scroll up just a little bit. 10C, which is being covered. 1 sec. 1. Oh, there's too many windows. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, that'll just help you start to feel where those are. Oh, that's it. That's it. That was easy. Okay, so check it out, guys. There's your free download, your free handout for the week. If you have any questions, let me know. But check those out and see if those are helpful. And we're gonna apply this now. As we're gonna apply this to a lick. Oh, thank you guys. Thanks for those hearts. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. A couple questions. Julian mentions, what is the check? Great question. Sorry I didn't say that earlier, Julian. The check is going to be something that you're playing, that you're really comfortable with, that you're really good at, that's going to allow you to check yourself against the new thing that you're working. So, for example, if we're working the check is going to be yum bum 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 bum, because it's easy. We can make sure that it's clean, that's in time. We remember what it feels like to be relaxed and get a beautiful sound from the instrument. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're trying to transfer all that goodness over to the thing that we're not as comfortable with, which in this case is. So if your timing is great here, if my timing is great here at, let's say, 60, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then when I get to here, and I come out of it, it's not right, something's changing, then I can use the check to check myself and make sure I'm coming out of it correctly. If you're not getting to there for the next, then something's going wrong during. And that's why in that last section 10, we're breaking down each one of those partials. The first triplet partial, the second, the third one, and then there's 2 counts of each, and then finally 3 counts of each so that we're filling it all in. Great question. Okay, other questions? Really enjoyed it. Great, John, thanks. Community Network says, even though I'm free, some sleep would be nice. Okay. Community says, are you going to upload this live stream afterwards? Because it's currently 2 a.m. here in the Netherlands. Wow. I think I've had a few friends watch from the Netherlands, but yes, Community Network, this will be available on my page afterwards. So feel free to catch this later. Leave a comment. Thanks for popping in. I hope you get a restful night of sleep. Okay, let's apply this to a topic now. I'm running out of time here on the Instagram stream, so we're going to move this a little bit more quickly. Let me show you guys I just finished putting together this video. It's a video that my buddy Mike played, and let me see if I can. I think I can pull it up over here on Facebook and YouTube, so you guys can get like the high quality stream. Let me check this out. Let me try this. Nope. Okay, one more time. This is coming out on Instagram later today. So, one more. Una más. Okay, so I'm using this as an example today because there were a couple pieces of vocabulary in there that my hands could play, but I hadn't put them together in that combination before, and it made for some interesting rhythmic timing patterns. And I was like, oh, this is basically what we've been talking about this week, and I should share like why this is important. Okay, so again, this lick was written by my buddy Mike, and let me just show you how this is working in practice. Okay, Facebook. Oh, we got a little uptick of folks coming in the room. And why is this not clipping up? Okay, here we go. All right, so here's the lick. First part. So you have 1 and a 2 and a 3. Okay, so you've got. This is the second 16th note timing pattern in that packet, right? And we've added accents to this right away. But if you don't know what, sorry, it's supposed to sound like, when you start adding accents and interbeats to it, a lot of times it'll get, you know, this would be too open. That's weird, right? Too tight. So we need. Right? Of course, it leads into a paradiddle diddle. So bum baga dum baga digga digga da. And that takes us to beat 4. And this is the second application of a time pattern. Okay, so I'm looking for our Facebook and YouTube friends here. I'm looking at these beats here. Okay, so we have the first beat 4 starting here. We have ba ba da da ba ba da ba. Let me just highlight this for okay. So in this section, if I only play the accents, let's try here. 80. Okay, so just the accents would be dun dun di da da bum bum bum. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. And that's kind of weird because when you fill it in with the sticking, one more time. And go. Ready and go, 2, 3. Right, so you have to be comfortable with going in context. I mean, that's 80, right? This like goes, I think it was like 150 or 160. Da 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 ba. We're just like, whoa! So if you don't have these, right? I mentioned in yesterday's Triplet live stream, you can fill in all of those timing patterns. So if it's 2-note timing patterns. Right, you're filling all those inner beats or those rests with inner beat taps. Then you'll have this down. Bum 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 de bum da bum bum da boom bum bum dum digga digga da. Right, that's the skeleton for that. So this first line, this is an example of how 16th note timing patterns and triplet timing patterns will set you up for the part that you're trying to play. So. One time. So that's kind of wacky, right? Because the cool thing about this lick, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Mike about this, is that it flows really well, and musically I think it makes a lot of sense because you have paradiddle, right? It's still a paradiddle sticking, but it's over a triplet feel now. Paradiddle, right? And that puts you on the downbeat, so that's a nice anchor point on beat 2. And then we have threes. We're playing in like 4-note groupings because you have 1, 2, 3 diddle, 1, 2, 3, and then instead of a diddle, it's like a theme and a variation, right? Dun 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 da da, dun 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 digga digga da. And then you're putting those 4-note groupings over 3-note triplet feels, so it puts you over like a 3-count feel. I haven't played that combination before, and it just like flows really well. Try it. And this is an example too where that drag is on the downbeat. So you can check that timing and then go da 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 da. That's 120, 128, ready, go. 136, 142. And this is the other thing about this. If your flow and your timing is good to go, once you get the notes in your hands, you'll notice that it's really easy to speed up. Because once you know what it is, it's not so, the hardest part is just like learning the notes. But in terms of the flow, the timing, the feel, the mechanics, you've done all that legwork up front by yourself in a room when no one's there. So, you know, if you're one of those students that when you get new music, it takes you forever and a day to learn new music. I'll give you an example. When you march drum corps, a lot of times the designers are writing, you know, in a perfect scenario, you're getting the music weeks or a month beforehand. Oh. I totally missed the countdown on Instagram. Sorry, Instagram, but Facebook and YouTube, thanks for sticking with. A lot of times when you go to these camps, you're ideally getting the music beforehand so everyone has it learned and memorized before you show up to camp, right? But there have been instances where you're getting edits or changes on the fly and you get the music, and if it takes you forever to learn, I mean, you're expected just to look at it and then hack through it on your own for maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then you come together for ensemble, you put it together, and you need to have that memorized so that you're trying not to read when you're in ensemble, and the next thing you know, you're ensembling with the entire corps. The faster that you can learn music, the more advantageous that is for you to start listening and self-correcting and cleaning, right? So another thing that I haven't talked about yet in any of the previous live streams, so if you're in the room right now or you're catching the replay, you're about to get a little bonus piece of content here. Let me just fix this and get the comments to come up. These timing patterns serve as the template for you to put things into, right? So what I mean by that is when I look at this part over here, immediately I can recognize that the accent structure is dum dum, dum dum, ba ba bum, and I recognize there's 2 beats on the downbeat, ba ba, ba ba. Okay, so my brain doesn't have to think out like, what is the accent pattern again? I just remember it's ding ding, ding ding, and then I remember that it's syncopated, do ba ba ba, do ba 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 ba. And I remember, okay, the first part downbeat accent, second part syncopated on the second triplet. So I have like a mental template that I can start putting things into as I'm trying to learn and even memorize the music, okay? Is there another application of that later? Not so much. The second part is like paradiddles and singles and triplet roll. And I get a sense, I don't know if this is true or not, I get a sense of like Mike's Glassman roots in this part too, because you know, like the long triplet roll with the crescendo and the shak at the end. So, questions. Matthew Dawson, how do you define what to do for tenuto markings? So the way I interpret those typically, Matt, is that the tenuto is like in between. There's 2 ways that I typically look at that, right? So it's an agogic accent. It's the height between what your accent height is and maybe your interbeat. So for example, if I'm playing 12 and 3 and I see a tenuto marking, I might play it like 6. So if I'm going like that 6-inch note or that mezzo forte note would be that tenuto marking. The second way I've seen it, and that's kind of, and the way that Mike is kind of using it in this instance, is that, did I add an instance? In this instance, Mike is using it to show the natural decay that happens when you play like a hug-a-dick, right? When I do that, I'm not going 12-3-3 or forte piano piano, right? I'm going da da da. It's just this natural decay where each note's like when you play threes, there's that natural decay between each one of those notes. So in this instance, you know, when I interpret it, I just know musically that it probably means ba ba bum ba ba bum, and then there's a drag. There's a tenuto marking on that drag on the downbeat. Here, let me just highlight what I'm talking about here, so you guys. I know sometimes I know what, like when you take a theory class and the teacher's just talking and talking and talking, makes perfect sense in their head, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about right now. So this part here, I'm going triplet or left 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 da da, right? There's a tenuto marking on that right hand drag. That's saying that it doesn't have to be a strict 3 inches. Whereas here in the beginning, you're expecting it to be a strict inner beat height, whatever you define that to be. So I'm playing these at like, you know, I'm showing my mastery of this. But when I get to that section that we were just talking about, at least me, the way I'm interpreting this is I'm going, it's okay if there's a little bit of like a feel on that because it is on the downbeat, right? And it's a drag, so it's not like a, it's more of like a, I'm marking that note. So if it's 6 and 3, I might play that at like happy 3, 4.5 inches, or maybe even 6 inches in this instance. So you see, Mike added a tenuto on that note too. I don't think I played it that way when I was playing it earlier. Now that I'm examining the music a little bit more, so maybe I would play that at 4.5 inches or mezzo piano. And then in that last beat, digga digga da, here, this single, digga digga da, the way I interpret it, if that tenuto marking wasn't there, right there on beat, can you guys see me clicking? Yeah. If that tenuto marking wasn't there, then I would expect it to be, right, a clear Bucks 2's downstroke tap, right? But here, I think he's saying that it's okay to go. So you don't have to kill yourself because it's kind of fast. You have to kill yourself to get down to that true inner beat height. You can just go. It's almost like he's expecting you to do a little bit of molar to help you get through. And notice that he does the same thing down here as well with these fast singles. This is fast at 160. If you didn't have the agogic accent or the tenuto, you'd have to stiffen and tense up a little bit. So I think he's saying like, hey, just flow and relax to that section. It's okay if there's a little bit of extra height on those notes. Joshua Hicks says, Friday evening blocks are fun. Yeah, surprise! Although, you know, the best groups that I've seen, the designers are ahead of the game and they're able to get the music out early. So you never want to, it's not good when you're spending camp time learning music. If you've got the music beforehand, people have learned it and you're executing as opposed to learning at camps. That's the best use of everyone's time. Ideally, in a perfect world. Things happen and things change. I get it, but that's what we're all shooting for. Matthew Dawson says, thumbs up. Got it. Okay. That's it, guys. That's all I have for the lesson today. If there are any other Q&A questions, open Q&A questions, I'd be happy to take those. Otherwise, we're going to wrap for today. We're just a little bit over the hour mark at this point. So, as we're going out, if you want to tap some outgoing hearts and thumbs up, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. We're going to be doing more of these. I have this like big idea in my head, and I haven't said it out loud to anyone yet, but I've got this idea that I might have to start working on. So I'm going to keep doing these streams for sure on the Sunday stream. So if you can, join us for tomorrow for our weekly Sunday stream. And what I've been doing for the first 2 weeks is like Mondays I take off just to kind of get the week situated. And then I stream Tuesday through Saturday. And then Tuesday through Saturday is on like a theme for the week. So last week's was 421. This week's was timing. Next week we'll do something Tuesday through Saturday. And then on Sundays we pick like one topic. I think tomorrow, to continue with this timing theme, tomorrow will be about feet. You get questions about like, hey, how do I figure my feet out? How do I teach feet to students when they first start? How do you get really solid feet? Because a lot of problems that I've seen with cleaning lines or cleaning drum breaks actually start from the feet up, right? If your feet are not solid, then you're going to have issues lining up your hands, especially when you start moving, right? Like worst case scenario, this is always devastating when you see a line that plays amazing when they're standing still. And then the second they start moving and playing, it just turns into badness, right? So how do you get your feet really solid and then transfer that to moving and playing on the field, which is what we're ultimately working towards. So that's tomorrow's lesson. And yeah, just let me know if you have particular questions or lesson topics. A lot of the lesson ideas come from the viewers. So when you leave comments or when I get a lot of questions about a certain thing, I say, oh, I can take this question and this question, this question, and boom, package that together. That's one Sunday session that we can do. Okay? So yeah, there's a free download. Don't forget to pick that up before the end of the week. Where is it? Here. Yeah, so pick that up. And I think that's it. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks so much for sharing, liking, subscribing, following, all that good stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow for our afternoon stream. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later. Bye.